The Last Leaf by O. Henry. In a little district of Washington Square, the streets have run crazy and broken themselves into small strips called places. So to quaint old Greenwich Village, the art people soon came prowling, hunting for north windows and 18th century gables and Dutch attics and low rents. At the top of a squatty 3-story brick, Sue and Johnsy had their studio. In November, a cold, unseen stranger whom the doctors call pneumonia stalked about the colony, touching one here and there with his icy fingers. Johnsy he smote, and she lay scarcely moving, looking through the small Dutch window panes of the blank side of the next brick house. One morning, the busy doctor invited Sue into the hallway with a shaggy gray eyebrow.
She has one chance in, let us say, 10, and that chance is for her to want to live. Your little lady has made up her mind that she's not going to get well. Has she anything on her mind?
She wanted to paint the Bay of Naples one day.
Paint? Bosh. Has she anything on her mind worth thinking twice? A man, for instance.
A man? Is a man worth... No, Doctor, there's nothing of the kind.
Well, it is the weakness, then. I will do all that science can accomplish. But whenever my patient begins to count the carriages in her funeral procession, I subtract 50% from the curative power of medicines. If you will get her to ask one question about the new winter styles in cloak sleeves, I will promise you a 1 in 5 chance for her instead of 1 in 10.
After the doctor had gone, Sue went into the workroom and cried a Japanese napkin to a pulp. And then she swaggered into Johnsy's room with her drawing board. Johnsy lay, scarcely making a ripple under the bedclothes, with her face toward the window. She arranged her board and began drawing. As Sue was sketching, Johnsy's eyes were open wide. She was looking out the window and counting backward.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Sue looked out the window. What was there to count? There was only a bare, dreary yard and the blank side of a brick house 20 feet away. An old ivy vine, gnarled and decayed at the roots, climbed halfway up the brick wall. The cold breath of autumn had stricken its leaves from the vine until its skeleton branches clung almost bare to the crumbling bricks.
What is it, dear?
6. They're falling faster now. 3 days ago, there were almost 100. It made my head ache to count them. But now it's easy. There goes another one. There are only 5 left now.
5 what, dear? Tell your Sudie.
Leaves on the ivy vine. When the last one falls, I must go too. I've known that for 3 days.
Oh, I have never heard of such nonsense. What have old ivy leaves to do with your getting well? You used to love that vine. Well, the doctor told me this morning that your chances were 10 to 1. Try to take some broth now and let Sudie get back to her work.
There goes another. No, I don't want any broth. That leaves just 4. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. I'll go then too.
Johnsy, dear, will you promise me to keep your eyes closed and not look out the window until I'm done working? I must hand these drawings in by tomorrow, and I need the light or else I would draw the shade down.
Couldn't you draw in the other room?
I'd rather be here by you. Besides, I don't want you to keep looking at those silly ivy leaves.
Tell me as soon as you've finished, because I want to see the last one fall. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of thinking. I want to turn loose my hold on everything and go sailing down, down, just like those leaves.
Try to sleep. I must go call Behrman up to be my model for the old hermit miner. I'm not going to be gone but a moment. Don't try to move until I come back.
Old Behrman was a painter who lived on the ground floor beneath them. He was past 60 and was a failure in art. 40 years he had been always about to paint a masterpiece, but had never yet begun it. He earned a little by serving as a model to those young artists in the colony who could not pay the price of a professional. He drank gin to excess and talked of his coming masterpiece. For the rest, he was a fierce little old man who scoffed terribly at softness in anyone, and who regarded himself as an especial mastiff in waiting to protect the two young artists in the studio above. Sue found Behrman and told him of Johnsy's fancy, and how she feared she would indeed, light and fragile as a leaf herself, float away when her slight hold upon the world grew weaker. Old Behrman, with his red eyes plainly streaming, shouted his contempt and derision for such idiotic imaginings.
Was? Is there people in the world with the foolishness to die because leaves they drop off from a confounded vine? I have not heard of such a thing. Why do you allow that to come in the brain of her? Ah, that poor little Miss Yonzi.
She's very ill and weak, and the fever has left her mind morbid and full of strange fancies.
Go on, I commit you. This is not any place in which one so good as Miss Yonzi shall lie sick. Some day I will paint a masterpiece, and we shall all go away, yes.
Johnsy was sleeping when they went upstairs. Sue closed the shade down to the windowsill and motioned Behrman into the other room. In there, they peeked out the window fearfully at the ivy vine, and then they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. A persistent cold rain was falling, mingled with snow. When Sue awoke the next morning, she found Johnsy with dull, wide-open eyes staring at the green shade.
Pull it up. I want to see.
Wearily, Sue obeyed, but lo! After the beating rain and fierce gust of wind that had endured through the livelong night, there yet stood out against the brick wall one ivy leaf. It was the last one on the vine. Still dark and green near its stem, with its serrated edges tinted with the yellow and dissolution of decay, it hung bravely from the branch some 20 feet above the ground.
It is the last one. I thought surely it would fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will fall today, and I shall die at the same time.
Dear, dear, think of me. If you won't think of yourself, what would I do?
But Johnsy did not answer, and the day wore away, even though the twilight they could see the lone ivy leaf clinging to its stem against the wall. And then, with the coming of the night, the north wind was again loosed, and while the rain still beat against the windows and pattered down from the Dutch eaves, when it was light enough, Johnsy commanded that the shade be raised. The ivy leaf was still there. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at it. And then she called to Sue, who was stirring her chicken broth over the gas stove.
I've been a bad girl, Sooty. Something has made that leaf stay there to show me how wicked I was. It is a sin to want to die. Pack some pillows around me. I will sit up and watch you cook. Sooty, someday I hope to paint the Bay of Naples.
The doctor came in the afternoon.
With good nursing, you'll win. And now I must see another case I have downstairs. Pneumonia, too.
The next day, the doctor returned.
She's out of danger. You've won. Nutrition and care now, that's all.
That afternoon, Sue came to the bed where Johnsy lay, contentedly knitting a shoulder scarf, and put one arm around her, pillows and all.
I have something to tell you, White Mouse. Mr. Behrman died of pneumonia today. He was only ill 2 days. The janitor found him the morning of the first day in his room, helpless with pain, and his shoes and his clothing were wet through and icy cold. They couldn't imagine where he'd been. Then they found some paint and some scattered brushes and a ladder that had been dragged out of its place, and a lantern that was still lit. Look out the window, dear, at that last ivy leaf on the wall. Didn't you wonder why it never fluttered or moved when the wind blew? Oh, darling, it's Behrman's masterpiece. He painted it there the night that the last leaf fell.